I'm Shauna Martin.
And I'm Misty Perlman.
And this is
Book Till June.
I love it.
That's it.
Welcome to the show.
Hey.
How's it going?
Really nice. Really great day today. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
Well, before we get into it, I just wanted to take some time to introduce who we've got with us today. Misty, you want to go first?
Hi, this is Misty Perlman.
Hi, Misty.
Hey, Miss Shauna.
Are you excited for today?
Absolutely.
So excited.
Who else do we have with us?
Oh, Nicole DeRose.
Hi, Nicole.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
for the
coming
invite.
on. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Me
And
too.
then there's me, Shauna Martin, the
Host till you
hostess
mostest?
with the mostest. I don't know. On this episode of Book Till June, we're going to discuss removal of artificial nails. A lot of times people think that it's just a simple procedure and it's easy and there shouldn't be any problems. It's just removal. So what's the problem? Right?
Yeah, what's the problem?
So in this episode, we're going to go over different methods, how long the process should actually take, what are some problems that you might run into, like when it won't come off as a technician, the potential damage that can occur with improper removal. Washington State's added this procedure to their actual state board exam for their practical exam, which is kind of newer since 2021. We'll talk about that. And then also, you can try it a certain way. I'm going to go over a procedure. Your clients are really going to love you for it. In my experience of doing nails forever, the soak-off method that I've ever done nobody's ever come back and been, hurt or upset or angry about the process. They've always just said, like, wow, that was really relaxing. It didn't hurt at all. And I would just really be shocked that they had to even say that out loud, because
Right.
it should be like that all the time, wherever you go.
Absolutely.
Right? What are the methods, right? Let's talk about the methods. So when you're doing an artificial nail removal, there's different ways you can do it. The most common is soaking it off with acetone, because it helps soften the product and get it kind of gummy and gooey so it'll slide off easily. There's also an e-file. You can hand file it, do a combination of all of those things. Or my favorite, a dirty tip flipped backward, which seems to be a popular method in some salons that people go to. Can't believe they actually pay for that service, but to each their own. Anyway, so let's go over how long the process should actually take, right? It depends. It depends on a couple of factors, but two big deciding factors is the nails. Do they have an EMA or an MMA product? And what does that mean? EMA is an ethyl methacrylate type of monomer, which is an industry standard type of monomer. And then there's MMA, which is methyl methacrylate monomer, and that's nationally banned. Even though it's nationally banned, there are still a lot of technicians that use it. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're forthcoming about the fact that they're using MMA. I don't know of anybody that stands out on their advertisement and says, "Hey, I'm using MMA. Come on in."
Why do you think they use it?
Oh, I do think, I don't know for a fact because I've never sat down with one of those technicians and asked, but I do feel like it's a price.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's probably a lot cheaper.
Yeah. In the comparisons that we did like a couple of years ago, it was like a gallon of monomer for EMA was about $350. And then a gallon of MMA monomer was $19.95.
Big difference.
Sure.
Bang for your buck.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Yeah. Well, and then you wonder why the full set is so cheap.
Right.
Why is the full set $15? Well, their monomer is literally pennies on the dollar. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, so it does come down to that. Why is that a factor? Because if you try to remove MMA, it's literally almost like, I want to say acetone resistant. It just doesn't care. It's like, I'm here. I'm never leaving. Good luck getting me broke down. But you can break it down. It just takes a lot more effort and it's a longer process. So instead of, with EMA, the process is about 10 to 15 minutes. right? And you can even push that faster if you do a couple of things like reduce the thickness, break the seal, take off some length, and then try to soak it. With an MMA product, it's really more like you're literally looking at anywhere between 2 hours and 4 hours sometimes. Can you move it along? I've gotten MMA sorry, off sometimes about like an hour and a half, but I'm really working at it. Like I'm really putting a lot of effort. I have to break the seal. I have to reduce the thickness, the length, soak, pull it out, scrape, soak, pull it out, wipe, soak, pull it out, file, and then just keep repeating that every 5 minutes throughout that hour, and then really forcing it off. But it will come off. You just really have to work at it. Let's see. If the soak off is going to take longer than, 2 hours, it's really interesting to me how people were charging in the Spokane area, at least they would literally call and go, well, it's just a soak off. It should just be $10. Says the person who's never soaked off MMA.
Right. Who's got time for that?
Nobody. I suppose it would be $10 if I'm using a dirty tip flip backward and I'm prying it off.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, don't you want to make $5 an hour?
Yeah.
That's
totally
pretty enticing.
Lucrative. I will quit my day job. Absolutely. So a method that I came up with, because it was such a process and there was actually more people with MMA than EMA that would come in to the salon as a walk-in and want a removal, and then, to get EMA nails put back on. So I would charge by the hour, because I really, in the beginning, I didn't. I was like, well, this is what everybody's charging. So $10 an hour, or $10 for the service. Sorry. And then I said, after a while, I said, this takes a lot of time. So I got to at least make $20 an hour. So anyway, I would charge that service $20 an hour charge. And so if it took you 3 hours to soak off, it doesn't bother me. And I'm no longer irritated about it, because I'm going to still get paid for that time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's a business.
Yeah. And so $60 for the soak off instead. And then also, some people would ask me, like students would ask me too, well, what happens if it only takes 20 minutes? So it's still $20. Like the first initial charge is 20, every hour after that's 20, and it's not by the minute. So otherwise it would be $60 an hour.
Well, and at least they have nails when they leave.
Yeah, that's exactly. Who wants a bad removal, which brings us to potential damage, right? So why is it important to get your nails removed properly? Because the potential damage is big. You can have painful throbbing, and not just for a moment, for days, weeks sometimes. The nail can separate from the meat part of the nail. The meat part's the nail bed. There can be cracks in the center down to the meat part of the middle of the nail, which can bleed and cause infection, and then can lead to amputation. You can tear the nail off the nail bed, especially like if there's so much damage to the nail previously from the soak off that you're not aware of, just all the over filing, over drilling, over saturation of chemicals and primers and monomers. And then also slap in the fact that it might be MMA. Now the nail's really weak and compromised. So now we're aggressively prying off the product. So that can cause the whole nail just to rip off the finger. You better hope you have your $1 million insurance in place.
Absolutely.
Right. So all of this is conducive to the actual state of the nail. You don't want the nail to be compromised. You don't want to mistreat the nail. Always be careful and treat the nail as if it's already damaged when you're taking it off, because you don't know the state of the nail if they're coming from another salon, right?
And some people just have weak nails.
Yeah, in general. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. A lot of times people think like acetone is damaging to the nail, but in actuality, acetone actually has a pH of 7.
Neutral.
So it's not, I don't think it's either way doing anything to the nail, right? But anything that you soak in for any amount of time is going to dry the nail out temporarily. Even when you get your teeth bleached, for God's sake, it dries your teeth out for a couple days until, I guess, your tubules, right, hydrate back up and close up. Well, I just got my teeth whitened the other day.
Fact of the day.
Yeah. And they're like, your teeth dehydrate. I'm like, really? That's interesting. Anyway, so back to the acetone. The acetone has a neutral pH of 7. Of course, anything on the pH scale has to have water product in it, so it's not all terrible. There can't, it does come down to like if you have a poor quality acetone that you're using, which again, I don't know what a poor quality is.
I mean, if you got it at the Dollar Tree.
Or the hardware store, that always scares me. I don't know. Hey, and I don't know if there's like an actual, if you use hardware store acetone on the finger, what does it do? It just seems aggressive and it looks kind of ugly, right? It's just like a big metal jug that says acetone in big black block letters. And it just like anything that comes out of a metal can from Home Depot, I do not want to put on my fingers.
Is there a difference?
I don't know. There's people that
You try it first.
There's people in this industry that have been like, they've been like, there's nothing different with it. It's acetone is acetone is acetone. But I feel like there has to be a slight difference because otherwise they would sell it in the supply store.
I think I want it in a pretty little bottle.
Yeah.
Right? In a little, something nice.
Yeah. It just makes me feel like it's approved for human body.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the marketing. They're just trying to market. So you
maybe we can buy it by the gallon at
$50
Home
versus
Depot.
$20.
Onward with the $10 soak off then, huh?
Why not?
Just kidding. Anyway, so make sure that you're, picking out a high quality acetone. How do you know it's high quality? I am assuming one that comes from an actual professional nail supply store. And that doesn't necessarily mean in person, just one that's selling nail products that's for human body application. Let's see. Well, actually, ladies, do you have anything to add to the potential damage? You've ever heard of any removal stories gone wrong?
Removal stories gone wrong. I know that I've attempted. Well, no, let's say not attempted. I actually did remove my own at home. The wrong way. Gave myself some major damage. How did I do that? Teeth were involved. I'm just going to admit that right here. I might have bitten through a lot of it. I'm a recovering nail biter. And I can admit it. I've done that. But interestingly enough, right here in Allure magazine, I was looking at an article and it talks about, how to remove your artificial nails at home. Manicurists don't recommend taking on this endeavor by yourself.
Yeah, we don't.
As any error can wreck your precious nail beds. So guess what? That's what I did. I mean, I did not go somewhere. I didn't want to wait to get them done. I was like, I just pull them off. I can just get them off.
Oh my God, you're that person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we're saying, professionals will not even recommend you trying to do it at home yourself.
I won't. It's so messy.
Like, take those off and come back and we'll put you on a new set.
Yikes. What if the acetone like splashes in their eye or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's dangerous.
Regardless of the amount of time that it's going to take them.
I've had people that aren't my actual regular client. They're walk in and they'll go, "Can I get a soak off?" And I'm like, "Sure." It's going to take probably about, a potential up to 2 hours because I don't know what product you have. And they'll just in front of me start chewing them off. Like a chiclet, like
because they don't want to spend 2 hours.
Come on. And now their nails hurt.
Yeah.
Because you've literally taken
Layers.
off. Mine
so
did.
70 layers of nail. There's only 100 layers on the nail.
Yeah. Mine were so tender, so sore.
So compromised.
And it takes a long time to get them back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Will that build that thickness back up?
Yeah.
Like the hot water hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When your nail's too thin, the hot water hurts.
Been there, done that.
Well, and it causes lifting sometimes too.
Yeah, separation.
Try
Now
shampooing with someone.
No, thank you.
I've been
And
there,
then
done
infection can set
bendable
underneath there.
nail.
Wow. Eesh. Yeah. So if you can, always go to professional that's doing it right, because you don't want that mess. Anyway, so the state of Washington decided there's enough people not doing it correctly, so let's go ahead and incorporate that into the national testing practical procedure.
I like that.
Right. So because NIC is responsible for all of the national practical testing procedures throughout the United States, It is in their what they call a CIB, which is their candidate information bulletin, and it has all the information for testing. Of course, each state's different, so not all states have adopted this procedure. So they will say, like, what is your state doing? Washington State definitely adopted that because of the amount of people that were getting hurt and reporting injury and reporting and complaining and things like that. So they made it as a priority, and they took out nail wrap of all things, which is sad because it's a beautiful nail. But anyway, that's a different subject. And they replaced it with artificial nail removal. And I know personally when I first saw that, I as an instructor, I said, how in the hell are we supposed to teach an artificial nail removal on a plastic hand without melting it all the way down to the metal rod?
Right.
And when I called them, they were like, it can be done. We've tested it. Perfect. Thank you. Practice. So, of course, we did practice it, and it is possible to do. The state just wants to see that you can do it safely and not rip it off with a dirty tip flip backward. And I hope everybody understands that when I said dirty tip flip backward, I was being sarcastic.
Right.
Like the 10th power. Anyway, but yes, I was skeptical because I know what acetone can do. I think maybe it comes down to the type of, if you are going to a state board test, it comes down to the type of hand that you're using, the type of plastic. I think if it's more of a rubber base plastic blend type of hand, then it might work. But I do highly recommend trying it out before you just grab a hand and
take it to your practical
and then find out in the middle of it that it's all coming undone. Yeah, it's all melting
the whole thing off.
So make sure you're checking that. We want to go over the procedure real quick of a proper removal in case any of you were struggling. Removing the nails is for a lot of licensed professionals. There might be some people actually listening going, well, no kidding. But there's people that struggle. So this is for them, right? So the procedure, all technicians have their own way of doing things. But if you've been struggling, maybe try this method. And it varies slightly in real life versus the testing environment. So let's go over the procedure from behind the chair. I don't use an e-file for a lot of stuff, but I will use it in the beginning to shorten the lengthen the nail and to break up the seal on the top. And this helps the acetone penetrate. You want to try to reduce the surface about 70%. If you're really unsure of, like, I don't know what 70% looks like, well then, start filing and land somewhere in the middle, like half, right? Just reduce the thickness. You're just trying to take off some product so you don't have to soak the whole thing off. Mm-hmm. But do your best to reduce that by at least half. Make sure that there's a minimum you break the seal at the surface before you soak. If you don't, you're going to be sitting there an extra 45 minutes for no reason, going, well, this isn't working. You have to rough up that top at least. Okay. Before you put them in the acetone, you do want to clean up all the dust particles off the table, off yourself, off the client. Because remember, it's not just dust, it's actual chemical particles that are sitting all over you. If you're sitting in a rain cloud of dust, monomer chemical, enough exposure over time is going to lead to, allergic contact dermatitis. You don't want that. That's a deal breaker for your career. You can't even keep working, right? Then prepare the acetone. I've always done like a double soak method. So I'll do like a double bowl. I'll have a hot water bowl on the bottom, and then I'll have the acetone on the top. You want to use 2 bowls, one that fits inside the other, one slightly bigger than the other. But they should, when you put them inside each other, they should fit at the rim, like they should close completely. Try not to use a metal bowl. Do not use a metal bowl for the acetone. I don't recommend. That's a different chemical reaction. You're talking about chemicals, so glass or ceramic for the acetone. And then the bottom bowl, I always used a plastic bowl for the water because it's a plastic bowl. If some of you are particular about the type of plastic, then just get, BPA-free plastic. You're going to put the hot water in that. I always used a Colgan water tower. Like I always had like a hot water spigot spout. Just kind of gets the water to the right temperature. It's not too hot, not too cold. Some people use microwave. Some people use stovetop, right? Mm-hmm. To warm up the water. Okay, just make sure that you don't put the acetone in the microwave. Oh. Because it kind of sounds like a meth lab and you don't want it to go boom. I've never personally put acetone in a microwave to figure out what it's about to do.
Let's try it.
Oh, Inquiring
what
minds want to
happens.
know. I don't know. It could be bad. It could be really bad. So I don't recommend that. Okay. But the water, absolutely. Just make sure that it's not too hot. I think on average, some of my colleagues that I worked with, they would put it in the microwave for, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then check the temperature. Once you get all that assembled, you're going to take the ceramic bowl, put that on top of the hot water bowl, right? Check to make sure that the water level rises to the right area, doesn't, fall over. Add the acetone. And then you're going to put your client in the soak bowl, explain to them it's going to be warm, right? Tell them not to pull their hands out because every time it hits the air, it'll reset up, reharden. So you're just kind of starting over. Put a towel, like a terry cloth towel, over the top of the client's hands to keep the fumes down so they're not ingesting and breathing in pure acetone fumes. That's not good. If you do blow on it, right, it'll help keep the temperature controlled. You should not blow on your client's hands. That's gross. But you could let them know that if they need to cool it down, they can blow on it a little bit. It'll cool it down right away. Mm-hmm. Do not abandon your client for a smoke break, right? Not leave your client sitting there in a bowl of acetone while you go outside unattended.
It's lunchtime.
Clients can hurt themselves. So make sure you're not doing that. After 5 minutes, you want to start to check the nails one by one. Remember that every time it hits the air, it hardens. So do not grab the whole hand out, just one finger at a time. And then you're going to start the scraping process. So you scrape the nail in a downward motion from the cuticle to the free edge with an orangewood stick. You can use a metal pusher. Just remember, do not be too aggressive, right? Because a metal pusher will take off layers of the nails if you're not paying attention and the nails compromise, like we were saying earlier.
I think I'd stick with that orangewood stick.
Yeah, just nice and gentle. Just let it soak. If you need to, if you need to loosen it, file it. Do not dig at the nail, right? Place it back into the solution. You're going to repeat this process on all 10 fingers until the product is removed. During this step, though, you guys can always use, multiple combination of those things. So scrape, soak, file, soak, rub it with a paper towel, however you want to do to get it, moved off. The clients usually can't sit still. So they're always inside kind of moving their fingers around anyway, assisting the product to come off. So if it's not MMA, it comes off very easily. You can roll it downward on the surface of the nail with a paper towel if it's really gummy, which is MMA, really gummy and difficult and sticky. So just use a paper towel to roll it down. File it with a hand file, and then just keep proceeding. So when you're all done, though, there will be a slight residue on the skin. So before you send them to wash with to the sink, you want to use a cotton ball that's soaked with acetone and rub it on the skin to get the residue off, kind of like on the bottom, on the top, and then in the between. Because if you don't, it's actually messier. Some people think it's not, but it is. They go to wash, now it's almost solidified on their hand, and you have to still rub it off with acetone. So just do the maintenance, just get it rubbed off, then send them to wash. Oh, no, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Get it rubbed off, and then you're going to buff the surface of the nail kind of smooth and flat. Apply cuticle cream or oil and then buff again, and then you're going to send them to wash. Okay. The air helps the nail to harden back up. So it'll probably be soft for a couple of hours. Sometimes people want to keep their nails. They're like, "Ooh, I'm going to keep this length." It's like, "Ooh, they're going to break off though. They're going to snap off because they're going to just get so hard and rigid that they're just going to crack." So if the client wants to keep that length, you can try to put a Vitagel gel polish on there. It's kind of a nutrient-based gel polish, clear coat. Or you can just cut them short and let them go.
But you're going to have those clients that want that new set put right back on, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, you do. You put it back on, but there's people, sometimes they're done. So good point, Misty. So if they're taking it off and they're going to leave, you want to kind of give them a quick manicure before they go home.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to look crazy.
A little sad.
Like you scraped them, like you drug them along the side of the car or something.
And it's just rough and raw.
Some people like to offer their clients a massage afterward. I never really had time to do that, give that detail out, but some people do. So if that's you, give them a massage. If not, pump some lotion in their hand, tell them to rub it around and get going.
Yeah, I think that massage would be worth it
Yeah.
at the end of all the torturous removal.
Right. I do think if you follow this procedure to the best of your ability, your clients are going to thank you. It's never going to hurt, and they're going to be okay with that. We are going to post the procedure for the state board test on the website.
I think that's a good idea because I think there's people out there.
You can go to booktilljune.com. We've got resources and information that we've discussed today on the show. Also, we're going to have an area where you can send a message or be a guest on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Just visit us on that website. With that being said, do you guys have any thoughts about what we just discussed?
I think it's being mindful. I think you should go to a nail tech that cares about your well-being. In your first episode, we talked about greenies and things like that.
Yeah.
This kind of falls in the same line of just good nail knowledge. And I think it's important for people to realize, cheap isn't always better. A lot of people are YouTubers these days, so they always think that they can do everything online.
True.
You can't get proper chemicals at non-supply house. You have to have a license to have the ability to go buy the proper chemicals. So if you're buying stuff on Amazon and things like that, it's just a little worrisome.
Yeah.
Or a lot.
Agree.
So it's just being intentional about, you're putting it on your body. It doesn't obviously have to be like vegan and all those, things that people like. Most of those times they're getting manicures.
Right.
But I think it's really important for people to just take a little bit of time and maybe just ask questions before they go into the salon about some of the chemicals that they're using or how they do certain things. And call around and see what the price differences are. And then if it is cheaper, maybe ask, hey, this is, a lot less than most places. How are you able to have your prices so low?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Because I think the cheapest that I can get a fill is $40 or $50 these days.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you could probably get cheaper ones.
You can. Yeah. But you're right. It depends on the product.
Is it worth it?
No, it's never worth it.
So
it's never worth it.
No.
And hopefully, Shauna, with the information that you've given us today, and all of our listeners, that they can know the difference between, a good removal and a bad removal and what should be expected and the pain that should not be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normalize a healthy, pain-free service.
Absolutely.
For the money. Well, that's all we have for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for coming. Until next time, I'm Shauna Martin.
And I'm Misty Perlman.
Nicole D. Rose.
And this has been Book Till June.